Okay. Well, one of the students here, tell me what you think, what you've studied in history. Give me some events that may have started the Cold War. We got the end of World War II. You got any others?
Nuclear weapons.
Don't leave me hanging there.
Different forms of government, communist versus democracy.
Speak up, Devin.
Communism versus democracy.
Okay. Okay. The different ideologies.
What? Nuclear weapons.
Yep.
One of those.
I'm going to go into some events here. I hope you can see this. But there's some historians out there that yes, the end of World War II. And let me give you an idea here. There was no World War II other than Pearl Harbor and the invasion of Alaska. That was not fought on U.S. soil. In World War II, the Soviet Union, they lost millions of people. So think here a minute. If someday you will be parents, or you have cousins now, or brothers and sisters, or that, think of millions of people, of your friends, family, and countrymen dying. That's going to leave, you're going to think about that forever. And that does shape a lot of their policies. But we have some of these things here. I don't know if you can see it. The end of World War II, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The establishment of NATO. That was a North American treaty alliance. Both the United States and the Soviet Union kind of enter an arms race. They both have nuclear weapons. The United States is in the Korean War. So there were a lot of other things that happened. Some historians even go to the launch of Sputnik in 1957. And what Sputnik was, it was a satellite. It was a communication satellite. Basically, it just made a noise. It emitted a ping. But what that did was that both sides at that time had atomic weapons. They both had nuclear weapons. They had thermonuclear weapons, the hydrogen bomb. What they didn't have was accurate rocketry or missiles. At the end of World War II, the United States brought over Werner von Braun, the head of the German V2 project, actually kind of captured him, brought him over here, some of their equipment. The Soviets, they captured some of his team and took their equipment over the Soviet Union. Both sides were working the same time. The Soviets, they got there first with Sputnik. And they start bragging that they can turn out missiles like sausages out of a factory. We become very concerned. All right? So anything else? Can anybody else think of anything there with your group about things that maybe led to the Cold War or maybe heightened it, made things worse?
Cuban Missile Crisis.
Cuban Missile Crisis? Okay. That's, yeah, let me pan down here. Let me see. That may not go any lower. Okay. Well, you know, that ends up, I'm going to put another one, that ends up being when Minuteman II, or Minuteman I, first goes on alert, is during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And I'll tell you this, President Kennedy literally refers to the Minuteman as his ace in the hole. I mean, literally, you know, it wasn't a hole. I mean, it was in a silo. But literally refers to that. We have a numerical advantage over the Soviet Union. They know it. We know it. The Soviet Union backs down. Khrushchev backs down. We blockaded Cuba. They were putting missiles right there, 7 minutes from the United States, 7 minutes from Florida, 7 minutes from the southeast United States. So 7 minutes from Disney World.
Interrupt?
Go ahead, sir.
May we interrupt? I have the superintendent just stepped in with us here, and I'm going to put him on if we may.
Oh,
He had a question or a comment.
I believe
All right,
we
go ahead,
have
sir.
I believe we have Minuteman silos right here in Chilhowie, Missouri, Knob Noster, Missouri, but most of them have been deactivated and filled in. But were those
Right,
not
they've all
Minuteman
been deactivated.
But were those Minuteman silos that were right here in our midst, here in central Missouri?
They were Minuteman II, and they were deactivated in the early 1990s under the START Treaty. And you're right, they were right there. What's happened now? They've all been imploded. And where I'm talking to your class from here is from a launch control center that was actually allowed to stay intact from the START Treaty. That's where, and I'd panned around the room earlier. You can see some of these, some of the areas in the capsule here. So the key entry points, the deputy commander's position, and even the deputy commander's key. So, all right. I'll tell you what we're going to do now is hopefully a little exciting here. Let's go over to Medicine Valley. How many of y'all, how many of you want to go through a launch sequence on how one of these things, how they would have launched their missiles? Okay, all right. And I want you to think about something while we're talking about this. And not everybody's going to go to college, and not everybody should. You know, I mean, that's just my opinion. Some people are going to be carpenters, cowboys, farmers, ranchers. You know, they're going to work with their hands. Some people are going to go on to college. The officers down here, very young. Think about, as a 23 or 24-year-old second or first lieutenant, if you could have actually been one of those to insert the key and make that decision, because it was that critical. Okay. We're going to start over here at the commander's position. And what would have happened here was the commander and deputy commander would have received what was called an emergency action message. And it would have come over a teletype, and an old-fashioned teletype. We're talking 1960s technology. And they would have come over here, and both the commander and deputy commander would have verified the accuracy of that message. They would have received that message, verified the accuracy of that message, and both would have had to agree for them to proceed any further. If they both agreed that it was a valid and properly formatted message, they would proceed further with their missile launch checklist. They would each go back to their seats and proceed with their checklist. Back at the commander's position, let me see if I can move over here a little bit. That telephone there, the commander would be on the phone with other launch control centers, the wing command post. This was not just occurring here at this launch control center. This was happening at Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri, Grand Forks, North Dakota, Minot, North Dakota, Great Falls, Montana, Cheyenne, Wyoming. This was happening at all these bases. And they would have been verifying and talking and making sure those messages were active.